More positive movement is happening at the state capitol. Both House and Senate legislators agreed earlier today to a $7 billion transportation bill. It's a big piece of the overall budget being hammered out still at the state capitol. Of course, lawmakers are in a special session with now a week to go before getting all of the budget pieces together. The deadline is 1 week from today. As we look to go a little bit deeper on some of these issues, of course, the budget, a lot of different aspects to this. Blois Olson is in studio with me, my first in-studio guest in more than a year. I am so glad to have you.
Happy to be here, Betsy.
Thanks. Well, let's talk about some of these state politics issues and the budget. Transportation was something that happened recently, as well as Health and Human Services. A lot getting done this week.
Yeah, there is momentum at the legislature this week, for sure. The transportation bill had large bipartisan support in the House, similar in the Senate. They really wanted to get that done early so that there wasn't any sense that they'd have to mothball any construction projects, which would cost more money. So the education agreement starts to build momentum, and ultimately to kind of finalize all the details of the budget, they needed some momentum, and they got that the first part of this week.
I spoke to Carla Nelson earlier this week, and she said she doesn't foresee a shutdown, but all of the negotiations are going to go up to the last minute just because that's what negotiations are. You see that? I mean, that's been the history in the state.
Yeah, it's been the history, but I think the difference is they are moving some of these bills out of the way sooner. So they're not saving everything to the last minute. I think the thing that's going to come down to the last minute is the public safety and judiciary bill on police reform. Senator Gazelka said today he thinks it's time to wrap it up. Nobody's going to move any further on either side. Let's get it done. And I think that's the deal that needs to, come together in order for anybody to finalize this session without any part of government shutting down.
Okay, so Derek Chauvin's sentencing is tomorrow. Could what happens during his sentencing change anything at the state legislature?
Well, it could change the mood of the state, potentially. It could change the mood of Minnesota. But I don't think it's going to change legislators' minds.
Or legislation that they have been working on with police reform.
Highly unlikely, because they've put months into this. Let's remember, they started this legislation a year ago. They made some changes last summer, and then they've been working on maybe more changes this year. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of will, especially in the Senate, to make a lot of changes there. And frankly, I think the mood of Minnesota has changed on law enforcement in the last year. And it depends on where you're from. If you're from the cities in Minneapolis, you may have one view. If you're from southeastern Minnesota, you may have another view.
That's the hard part right there, is because policing is so different depending on your community. Okay, I've talked to law enforcement. They said what goes on in the Twin Cities and the laws that pertain to them do not apply necessarily to here. So what are some of the things that are going to change for cops?
Well, the biggest thing that they're trying to figure out is use of force. They changed some of the use of force last year, but there hasn't even been full implementation across the state in that use of force.
Lawmakers argued about this much? Because I've got to imagine up in the Twin Cities, the lawmakers who are from there want to see, even bipartisan-wise, want to see stricter laws. I would see the fight coming from greater Minnesota lawmakers.
Yeah, I think that they have debated it. They've debated it publicly, they've debated it privately, but you have Republicans in the Senate and DFLers in the House, and they are far apart from where DFLers want to go and what Republicans are willing to do. And as we get closer to that July 1st deadline, highly unlikely that massive change is going to come to public safety and law enforcement. Senator Klobuchar is one of the leaders for Democrats on this issue. So people in Minnesota are watching this closely, and she's been the Democratic champion. The fundamental debate is, do you change the way elections are run
federally
and make them uniform across the country?
Right.
Elections are run by states, and they're run by counties. They are not run by the federal government. And so, again, the rules that apply in one state are different than the other state.
So why did the feds then even get in and do this? Why did the Democrats say we're going to do this on a federal level, knowing that it was going to, one, face such an uphill battle, and two, they're going to have to fight states over this?
Because there's certain states where they don't like the rules and they want better access for certain ballots. So let's take absentee ballot. Some states it's 2 weeks, some states it's 1 week, some states it's a month. Democrats want that uniform. Some states have voter ID, some states don't. Democrats don't want voter ID.
Tell me right there. That's where the biggest debate is as far as I'm concerned, because voter ID does not block access, say conservatives, and Democrats are saying it most certainly does. I've had this debate with so many people. Tell me why voter ID is so contentious.
Well, Democrats will say because it does restrict access. So on that day you go to vote, you don't have an ID, well, now you are, you're barred from voting and your rights are violated. That's what Democrats will say. Look, that is as simplistic of a debate as you're going to have about voting rights.
But it's also on the surface. They're going to say that. Is it deeper, as Democrats are charged with, from Republicans who say, that's what you say. What you really mean is you just want to let all kinds of people vote who aren't even legal. Therefore, you're going to win, and this is your way of rigging it.
Well, I think that Republicans would have more of a stance on that if there was proven widespread fraud from individuals. We've been debating this in Minnesota for over a decade, but never are there more than 2 or 3 cases a year. And you know that there's been resources dedicated to trying to find fraud in the system. Obviously, the 2020 election became very polarized because of the pandemic and some of the executive powers that secretaries of state, including in Minnesota, exerted. Republicans have a good reason to be upset about those things, but they don't get to say, well, look, you can't have it on the federal level and we're not going to talk about it on the state level. Democrats are going to continue to make this an issue. It's a populist issue, and both parties want populist issues. It's also a populist issue for Republicans to say, no, we want voter ID. No, we want states to run elections. This is one of those issues that energizes each side's base, and yet it's not gone anywhere in years and years and years. But it's a good talker. We can talk about it. It makes good mail.
I'm trying to really understand, really. And the more we talk about it, I just get tired of hearing the canned answer, because there's more to it, and that's where I wanted to at least have an honest discussion about it.
Well, one thing is, I think we in Minnesota are used to, even though our Secretary of State is a partisan office, we have a long history of Republican and Democrat Secretaries of State that have not made elections partisan. We have high voter turnout. We have good access. So in Minnesota, I think we have a little harder time understanding, in some states, from Wisconsin to Georgia to California, you have very partisan elections officials. And that is one of the things that Republicans nationally get fired up about. And that's where Democrats, if they don't like a partisan attorney general in Georgia, they want the federal government to maybe run that election, even though they're probably okay with the partisan
because it's Republican,
in
maybe
California.
in Iowa.
Right. So that's really what this has become about. And the 2020 election is what elevates it to this national debate once again. If 2020 election goes much smoother than it went, if there's not all these questions.
Oh, the 2022?
No, 2020. If 2020 went smoother, then Democrats wouldn't be making this as big of an issue as they are now.
Okay. So it all comes out of the whole Trump-Biden thing?
I think that's 80% of it.
Okay. I wanted to get to infrastructure. We've got trillions of dollars on that. It's at a standstill. What's going to get it moving?
It looks like they made some progress today. Biden acknowledged that he wants to support the bipartisan plan.
So instead of $6 trillion,
$4 trillion, something like that. Rochester's going to probably benefit from that. Minnesota will benefit. The interesting thing here is, does Biden triangulate for the first time to pass this in a bipartisan way? And that gives Republicans and Democrats an ability to take credit for infrastructure, which both parties have said for a decade we needed. And or will the far left counter Biden aggressively? Will Pelosi say no? Because if it's a bipartisan deal and they can put up Republican votes in the House and the Senate, That's probably the first time something big like that has happened in Washington since the 2020 election, and Biden can claim victory.
But Democrats are so very much trying to show that they are very unified, because the Republican Party is a show in and of itself right now, because you've got your Trump supporters and those who don't, and so it's kind of a mess there. Are they as unified as they want people to believe?
I think they're unified on this issue. This is an issue that tests polls very well. People want to spend money on infrastructure. And I think their politicians of both sides, especially those in the middle, know, like, nobody's going to vote me out for supporting infrastructure. And that's why Republicans and Democrats can do it.
Let's have a chat tomorrow and see where things go with the Chauvin sentencing.
Sounds great, Patsy.
All righty. We'll be back.